Welcome to another episode of the Holistic Sister Circle. Today we have Shah with us today, and Ro actually has helped over 100 money coaches, bookkeepers, and accountants make their first sale in businesses by learning sales strategies to book out. As an agency owner who has managed teams of 10 plus, she understands the value of growing fast and keeping your sanity at the same time. Ro, I am so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Me too. I'm so honored to come on the podcast and I can't wait to chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you all who don't know this, Ro and I actually go way back a few
Mm.
years ago. And at the time, I don't even think I talked about this on the show, but I've been in health for a while. And when we were talking that very first introduction, I was actually selling life insurance policies. And I remember I was in the car driving around all crazy 10, 12-hour days. And Rose like trying to get a hold of me because she's trying to help me grow my business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a minute to breathe. And we finally scheduled a call, and she was sharing with me all the different things that I could do from a lead generation perspective of really how to grow and just get more people, get more bookings so I wouldn't have to be on the road like I was at that time. So I cannot believe that was like 3 years ago, I think at
Yeah.
this point. Oh my gosh. Well, Ro, oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say how proud I am of you because yeah, like you said, we did meet a couple of years ago and from then like being in the car trying to find at least 10 minutes to just breathe and drink some water to now where you're in an environment where you can just run your business. You've grown so much as a CEO and I'm really proud of you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And I know we've had some real tough conversations, and I remember calling you and we're on a call talking about sales, and you're like, "What do you want to do? What are you passionate about? We need to figure that out first." So I'm so excited for you guys to meet Ro. She has been such a just a privilege and great connection to be a part of within my journey. And I know that you all are going to learn a lot from her today. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for us to get started, can you just share a little bit with us what really where you started? I know obviously you have a huge why, and I don't know if too many people know about it, but just share a little bit about where you started and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I won't take you back too far back, but basically I started my first big girl job at 18. I got my first corporate internship and I remember being at my cubicle and like just waiting for lunch to happen. I was like, okay, when's the soonest I can get out of this office? And that lunchtime was my favorite time and that's how I knew something was wrong. I was like, I cannot work in an office until I'm 65. So that was when I had an idea to start a business. But unfortunately, I didn't really start the business I have right now until probably like five, six, yeah, the math, but like a couple of years later. And and then I started the business I have right now, and that's when we met. And the whole reason I do what I do is I always saw I used to work on Wall Street in New York City. I used to work at a lot of different places for consulting. I'm an ex-McKinsey consultant and I just realized there are not enough women or just in general women of color in the financial industry and there aren't that many entrepreneurs that are at the $1 million level. And when I was consulting for like a big fancy firm like McKinsey, we were working with a lot of men at the time that were, at the top of their industry. And I'm like, why don't I see more women? Like, why don't they know how to sell enough to be at the $1 million level? I think it's some crazy stat where it's like 3% of women are at the $1 million level for small business owners. And that just made me really mad because I would
Oh,
talk about family who was doing business or other women of color I knew that were really successful, but they didn't have millions of dollars like these white guys on Wall Street. So that's kind of what lit the fire under me to be like, okay, I have to teach more women about sales, how to sell, how to like really know to generate leads in the first place so that they can run a good business. They can be at the top of the industry.
oh my gosh. I'm so excited to talk about this because one of the things that we've shared just within my community as well is just the ickiness about selling. It's
Mm,
like, I want to do everything else in my business but that.
yeah. I think it's if you feel that way, you're honestly not alone. I remember going to my first mentor and telling her I didn't want to do sales calls anymore because I would cry after them. I felt like I sucked at them. I know like your face right now because I love sales calls now, But if you met me at the beginning of my business, I would literally like bawl after a sales call because I didn't know if I was going to close. I didn't know. I felt so horrible trying to sell. Um, but I would say, like, if you feel horrible about selling in your business, then something is off, which means you feel like you're not serving the client. You're not serving, you're so focused on selling. So that's usually the disparity. And everyone has had a good sales experience. You probably walked in a store and bought that really cute shirt, right? You were sold to. That was a great sales experience versus being on a car dealership lot and you're like, someone's pressuring you to buy something, high stakes environment. That's why it feels icky. So just think of those two types of sales experiences.
No, that's a really great point. And I know for me, like I remember when I used to work, I used to work at Yelp. This was a long time ago. And obviously we had to sell all day long. We were selling advertisements to all these different businesses and I would get hung up on, I would get like cursed out.
Mm,
And I would literally go to the bathroom and just bawl out crying.
yeah.
And I hated it so much because I was like, one, these people don't want to talk to me. I feel like, I'm forcing it. And then I have to make this revenue for this company. And it was just so stressful. Can you
Mm,
talk a little bit about just like a lot of the stress that can happen at setting yourself up for service and how it can actually affect your body, your mind?
yeah, I love that you asked that question. I think a lot of times when we both have really strong stories about trying to sell and just breaking down in tears, right? And I think part of it comes from being so attached to the result. Like you're so attached to this one person, you're giving this one person that you're on the phone with or on a Zoom call with all the power. And you're making it like a make or break type of thing. Like this one person is going to change your life. And that's a lot of power to give away to someone. So in terms of your body, of course, you're going to feel all the stress, all the pressure, and that takes away from serving the person because you're thinking so much about yourself, right? Like suddenly all the pressure is on for you to make this sale. So in terms of health wise, how it affects you, I would say like every measure of it, the stress is unimaginable when you get on your first sales call and you don't have a structure. I think where a lot of people get caught up in is they try to sell on vibes, right? They'll get on a call and they're like, we're just vibing, we're just chatting, but there's no direction of the call. And part of the way to calm your anxiety or calm your nervous system is having a framework. I teach this to all my clients, like a framework where you set the intention, talk about the goals, talk about the challenges, give them a plan, and then pitch, right? Instead of just going based on vibes without a plan of like what you guys are talking about. That will calm your anxiety so much more.
Oh, and I'm grateful that you're sharing this too, because this is something that I honestly think all of our ladies really struggle with when it comes to selling. It's like, oh my gosh, I want this person to like me. I want this person to feel good about what it is that we're doing. And I get so wrapped up into the story that 20, 30 minutes have gone by and I haven't even gotten to the point of
The
selling
call.
anything.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
It's crazy because that does happen a lot, and at this point, I was doing like, I got asked this question the other day, so I was, like, trying to figure out how many sales calls I've done, and I think it's been, like, 500 at this point, and what I will say is you don't need to do 500 sales calls to get good, you just need to set the intention in the beginning. Like, instead of trying to be passive about why you're both there. Set the intention in the beginning, like, hey, name, so excited to talk to you. Where are you in the world? Cool. You build your 2 minutes of rapport and then go into, oh, we're here to talk about your health or questions I can ask you for your wellness. Cause I know a lot of wellness entrepreneurs listen to this podcast. Just talk about what you're both there for. Like, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions to learn more about your health and how I can help you at the end of the day. That's it.
yeah. And I know for them, one of the things was like really getting people on the phone to even have this conversation. I
Yeah.
would love to know what does that look like just within your community and some of the things that you've done to just help them essentially like optimize their pages and socials just to get the momentum in both the audience.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned before, we used to work together, right? I actually had a whole lead generation agency where I had like a ton of contractors working for me just to help more clients get sales calls. And if you're kind of stuck in, okay, how do I get people on a sales call in the first place? There's two ways. There's content, which everyone in the world teaches. Post a bunch of content for people to come to you. But then there's another way. Content works. The other way is you go to your ideal client. So let's say, you're a wellness entrepreneur and you have like maybe 500 followers, I bet one of those people would be a good fit for your program. Can you just DM them and be like, "Hey girl, I saw that you liked my post. Like, what are you struggling with today?" Just start a conversation. And then from there you can get them on a sales call.
That sounds so simple.
It is simple. It's just, I always say it's like talking to your best friend, right? Put the guard down, take off the mask, and just talk to people like they're your best friend. You always you have someone in your life that you have no filter with, right? How would you talk to the people in your audience like you do your best friend or like your partner that you don't have a filter with?
Yeah, no, this is super helpful. And I know honestly your approach like really what worked for me too, because I still use it to this
Yeah.
day. And this is on all platforms. Like I have my VA, she goes out and she connects with
Hmm.
people for me on my behalf. But a
Yes.
lot of the things that I learned were from you. So I'm grateful because it works. It works if you work in and you're consistent with it.
And one thing I will say, it's a lifetime skill, right? You've had like, I know many people who have gone from one business to another and they still use this lead generation sales call method I have given them. Like I had a client who started a skincare company after being a financial coach. Both still work. Like she's still able to sell her skincare products using the DM method I'm teaching you guys. Or another client, she is looking for investors in her venture capital firm. She still does the DM method too, and it works. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, this method works. Yeah.
This is so exciting. So the big question I have for you is you've done so much over the years. You've
Yeah.
accomplished so many huge goals. I mean, literally, I was like, "Oh, am I watching a movie?" Because you have all this new content out and all these different things.
Yeah.
Where are you at right now? What's going on in your life?
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. For anyone thinking about like what the movie looks like, we just went through a massive rebrand where we invested in like rebranding our whole Instagram website. And I will say for anyone that's under $50,000 in sales, you do not need a branding. You do not need something fancy. I only did it after I hit multiple six figures in my business. But it is beautiful. I'm very proud of like the photos we took with my photographer. But where I'm at right now is really at the point where I'm scaling. And that's the exciting part is like I know how to sell, I know how to generate leads. And now I'm teaching my clients all these new things that I'm learning, like funnel building, how to launch successfully. But it's just up leveling my skill set. I think the next part would be probably hiring a bigger team because I'm one person and I have a pretty lean team right now. I used to have a team of 10 people. Now it's like maybe three, and building that team back up again.
Wow, this is incredible. I didn't even know you had that many people on your team. Was that when we worked
Yeah.
together too?
Yeah, when I had the lead generation agency, right? I had all these contractors that were just helping me run with all my clients. So it's changed a
Well,
lot in the last couple of years, but I'm really
yeah.
proud. Yeah.
That's super exciting. And how have you been able to just really balance your business with your personal life? This is a question that we get a lot too.
I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I don't, and I'm just okay with it. Like sometimes my personal life does fall to the side while I'm all in on my business. And I don't try to fight with it. I think if you ask me, maybe my first year of entrepreneurship, how I was balancing my personal and business life, I might have been like, I don't work on the weekends or I don't work past 6 p.m. And I'll say, like, I'm unmarried, I'm not a mom, like, I don't have a lot of responsibilities that other people might have. So that's why I'm able to be this honest. But I have worked with a lot of moms who have personal life and their business. And the biggest tip I give them is like, what are your non-negotiables, right? Like, is working on a weekend a non-negotiable for you? Then don't work on Saturday and Sunday. But then the other 5 days you do work has to really count. Um, but yeah, with personal and business, that balance, I would say I try not to make it a problem. There are seasons where my business just really needs me and I'll put some of my personal life aside. And there are times where like this time it's wedding season for me. I have a lot of weddings to go to and I have a lot of responsibilities being in like bridal parties. And my team takes care of my business while I take care of my personal life. So I'll just say that there are seasons. You and that has helped my with my sanity. I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. Because one of the things that I've learned in this journey as well is like I was seeing actually a trauma therapist last year. And when I was working with her, we started talking about, okay, what type of vibe do I want throughout the day? So,
Mm.
like, what does my morning vibe look like? What does the afternoon look like? And what do the evenings look like? And how do I make sure that regardless of whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm content and I'm happy in those moments? Because I would feel so guilty resting when I felt like I should be working. I didn't know how to like cut it off.
Yes, I think that's a good way to put it. There are like a lot of different types of rest, and rest is not just sleeping. Rest could also
Right.
be like going outside and touching grass, right? Like or looking at the sky for the first time in like 12 hours. So I can't give like a cookie cutter answer with balance. Balance is going to look different for everyone. And I would say try not to beat yourself up about it. Like trying to have the perfect work life balance cuz your balance if you're like let's say a caretaker, if you're a mom, or if you're like a digital nomad, your balance is going to look so different than mine or yours, right? That's
Right.
okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what are some, we're here, of course, within this period. What would you say are just some practical steps that you could give really our audience in each stage of their business? So, of course, we have some people who are just new, starting out their business for the first time. We have those who are a little bit more seasoned and they're just looking to scale. And
Mhm.
then we have others who now they're going on above and beyond and really making sure that they could actually tap in with other business owners and do more like venture capital opportunities. Just within the obviously the clients that you've worked with and what you believe to be essential during each phase of your business, what do you feel like their focuses should be?
I'll give it in an easier way for people to understand, which is money, right? I'll go by income level,
Yeah,
and then this will help you categorize yourself. If you're from 0 to 50K in sales, then the only things that you need to worry about is generating more leads, getting on more sales calls, and closing all your sales calls. That's it. You don't need a fancy website. You could have one, but like is the website going to get you more sales calls? Is it going to get you more leads? You could have a really nice Instagram page, but is that Instagram page getting you leads, right? Those are the questions to ask yourself. If you're from 50 to 100K, then you want to start thinking about maybe hiring your first assistant. And if you can't afford an assistant right now, then start thinking about if you can automate anything. So if you're a one woman show or a one person show, you only have so much capacity, right? Going back to, when I first met you, you only have so much time to run your business. Do you need to hire someone or do you need to automate? That's what I would focus on if you're on the 50 to 100K mark. And then when you're on the 100K plus mark, right? Um, and on under the $1 million level. So right now I haven't hit $1 million per year in sales yet. But I know when I get there, all I'm working on right now from like if you're from 100K to like 250K is focused on the skill of like fast launching. And what I mean by launching is live events, like doing a masterclass, doing a workshop, doing something where you can sell to a big group of people pretty fast and get a lot of sales under your belt. And then when you're at the 250K plus level, then I'll say like you got to go back to basics. Literally, that's when things start falling apart and you got to go to basics again. Um, but based on the income level, those are like some of the fastest steps that you could take. But literally, if you haven't made more than 50K in your business, go back to what works: lead generation, sales calls, closing your sales calls.
Mm. This is super helpful. Thank you so much. Because I know people get so stuck on like, what should I focus on? And, what's going to make the most sense with my time? And maybe I'm posting too much content or too little content or not enough, or, there's so many different things that go through their head.
Yeah, I will say like, if you've hired someone, focus on the person that you've hired. I think sometimes it's easy to like get distracted. Like, for example, if you hire, for example, one of us, right? Try to listen to the mentors that you hire instead of binging free content and then like following one strategy and following your mentor's strategy. Use what you're paying for. I think that would be like a golden highlight. If anyone listening has like invested in group programs or mentorship, use the strategy that you're paying for first before you binge someone else's freebie. I would go that way too.
Yeah. You've told me that a lot of times. Like I would pay for things and I would come to Roma and be like, Roma, can you help me? And she would be like, well, what did your mentor tell you?
Yeah, because I am always like, your mentor will know you so much better than I'm not saying like you could talk to someone on the internet and they can have the best intentions, but your mentor probably has like a 6 month long rap sheet about your history that the
Right.
person you're asking for free advice probably doesn't.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And I think of like a doctor-patient relationship as well. It's like
Yeah.
normally when you're going to a new doctor for the first time, they're asking you for all this other information. They want you to fill out everything from a blank sheet. And then they
Mhm.
even sometimes want you to give them information from your previous doctors and how that worked before they even recommend anything. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and I say it with love, right? Like, I'm always I know you're mentioned on this podcast, I've told you blunt honestly, but I try my best to just say it with love because I
Yeah.
it doesn't help me to lie to you guys, like, I just wanna be honest.
No, you do, and that's why that's why we've connected for so long too,
Yeah.
because I don't know a lot of authentic people, honestly, in the space when it comes to sales and marketing. There's a lot of people or coaches out there that will literally, like, focus their methods on you to the point where you're like, "This is not working," and they're like, "Well, you didn't work it." And you're like, "Well, I did work it, but it's not working for me."
Yeah.
And that's super frustrating, and then you have the other people where you're trying all these different things and they've done it really well for their business, but they don't actually know how to help you,
Yeah, I
right? So,
I see what you mean.
yeah, it can be really, really tough. So I'm just like, anytime I have people that really respect just me as the person, as the individual, and they're genuinely looking to help, like I always keep them close. So I keep you close, bro.
That means a lot, thank you for saying that, and, I always say, like, go to the resources that you have. I think you've done a really good job at building community too, just throughout the many phases of your business. And that's one of the things that keeps you in business, like keeping up connections and things like that.
Yeah, that's so true. And I do believe that that's honestly what has served me so well because I keep them going. Like anywhere, if I met someone and I really had a great relationship with them, it's like, how can I continue to collaborate with them? How can we continue to do things together? And I do try to hold on to those connections because you just don't know where they'll go. And a lot
Mhm.
of times they do end up benefiting in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, for whoever is listening and is like, okay, where do I start? Like Roy was saying, like make sure that you are taking the necessary steps to go out and talk to the people that you want to help and build that community because those are the people that you're going to be selling to in the first place.
Exactly. 100%.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I certainly appreciate it. And for those of who are just listening who would like to love to connect with you further, what does that process look like?
Yeah, of course. So if you want to learn more about like the income levels and the sales marketing piece, you could definitely connect with me on Instagram. I go by the Rosha, TheRoshah, everywhere, website, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find me there. And if you want to learn more, we have like a free email challenge where you can kind of go step by step with lead generation. So we'll teach you all of it for free in our email challenge. You can see that on my Instagram.
Ooh, I'll link that
Yeah.
at the
Okay.
bottom of this episode too. That sounds fun. I want to join.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited. Anyone that needs it, it's there for you for free.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Queen, thank you so much for tuning in. It truly warms our heart that you're taking the time out of your day to connect with us. If you'd like to connect with our guests further, you can find their information located in the description section of this episode. And if you found this episode helpful, share with another queen and don't forget to connect with the Holistic Sister Circle on Instagram and Facebook. And until next week, stay blessed. Mwah.